believe we are live here on the beat drop with our interview with One Tricks. So, starting from the top of the call, I'll have you all introduce yourselves, kind of by saying your name, your role on the team, maybe a fun fact about you on the team, or anything else really you can think of, just something to maybe differentiate yourself from your peers. So, Blue, we'll start with you.
Okay, I'm Blue. I'm the off tank and GM for One Tricks. I'm also the shot caller, and yeah, fun fact, I'm a better tank than Melts. So there's that. That's about it.
I was wondering how long it would take for somebody to drop the M word.
Okay,
Nice.
yeah.
And then Boot.
Boot. I am the boomer on the team. Full time single dad, construction, and I play Overwatch with my homies at night. And love this shit. It's my fucking what is it? What is it? Can I swear? Am I allowed to swear?
Well, don't apologize if you do, or like don't detract from the
Okay.
stream by like mentioning it. So after
Okay.
this, if you
Cool.
swear, just roll with it. It's all good.
Cool. All right. Cool. So it just happens a lot. It's natural. Team captain. Kind of keep the ship rolling for the team. Play main tank. Thinking about switching to heals. Just because we need some other talent in the team. And other than that, yeah, take it, Curb.
Yeah, I'm Curb. I'm the flex support, I guess, for the team. I play pretty much whatever the team needs me to. Uh, Fun fact about me, I originally started playing with Boot as a tank main, and he encouraged me to swap to support so that I could play here with the One Tricks.
Yeah, that was a GGNA I pulled you from. We had a little GGNA thing, and nobody wanted to show up for any practices, and we couldn't coordinate anything. And the games we played were an absolute, crap show. And I was like, "Hey, man, I got this other thing that I want to do. Come on over."
Nice. Um, so I know from just talking with you guys beforehand that this isn't your first season in the Tranquility community. So each as individuals, you can talk about your experience in the community, and then at the end of it, bring it all together with how long the team as a whole has been active.
Okay, so I'm guessing I start again. I started playing season two for Wrecking Crew. I don't know if you guys remember PC Scrub and all the stuff that went down with him. I was part of that original crew. And yeah, like I was just a player, so I had no idea what was going on. But, through him, he introduced me to Tranquility. And I really liked it. Like I liked the fact that, they have the weekly podcast and that pretty much everybody gets to know you and stuff like that. So even though Wrecking Crew crashed and burned because of all the drama, all the cheating and stuff that was going on, I decided to come back to it with Jetpack Cats season three. So I was the off tank again for Jetpack Cats for the first 5 weeks. So the reason why I decided to leave Jetpack Cats is because well, Jetpack Cats was awesome. I loved all the people, but it was really relaxed, and I wanted to be more competitive. I wanted to scrim more often, and I wanted to do more stuff. So eventually, I decided to leave, and that's where I met Boot. I met Melts, and I've actually known Darkling for a long time. He joined that team with me, and basically after they all left the team, after a while, after I left, I, me and Boot picked up the pieces, and that's how One Tricks was formed. We were just from the leftovers of Jetpack Cats last season, and yeah, we joined Ox. We've climbed quite a bit. I mean, not like we're just barely good enough to not be able to qualify for Harmony. So yeah, and so we decided to go into Discord together. And yep, okay, that's
um, well, I was in OCCS Overwatch Cavalry Club scrims last year, and I was playing in the gold division, and I guess things went sour with the team that I was on, the Titans, and I just wanted to kind of hang it up for a while. And when I wanted to get back into it, I was starting to get better with my skills. So I put out an ad on, I can't even remember the website, but it was some Overwatch team finder or something. And Cinnamon had actually messaged me and said, "Hey, you might fit good over here on this team." So I tried out for the Cats, and it was during their preseason, and it went well. You know, we did good in our first 5 games. I think we only lost like one in our first 5 games, and then once everybody decided to quit and everybody was just like disbanding or whatever. I kind of took a seat back and just like worked on my own personal skills. I was able to hit high plat, and, just like touching that diamond border so many times, and it's and I can't break through yet, but I'll get there. I know I will. But I don't know. We just wanted a challenge, and we wanted to get our asses whooped a little bit, so try to join the Discord tier this season. So we got some decent players. We got some more. We're still working on our roster and trying to expand that a little bit. And somewhere in the middle there, I met Curb, like I said, from the GGNA tournament, and brought him along. So everything's been great. We've been like we scrim our asses off like 3 days a week, 2 3 days a week. We scrim constantly. That's all we do, and we try to exponentially like increase the skill that we're facing against. And we were able to go map for quite a few times with some 3.3s, 3.4s, and if we lost, it was a close loss. So even though we got our asses whooped here in the preseason by Maelstrom, they're a fantastic team. I mean, they have just such good synergy with each other, and with us constantly like having to shift our roster around and like try to establish a baseline, it's just growing pains. You have this with a team, and you take your losses and you take your lumps and you learn and you go again. It's because that's what you want to do.
Yeah. Also, fun fact about when I joined season 2. I don't know if you know who Naoki was, but he was the captain of Otaku. He messaged me probably 5 seconds after PC Scrub. So I was 5 seconds away from being part of the champions instead of being part of the team that disbanded because of cheating. So, yep.
Dang.
Okay, go on, Curb.
Yeah, so I guess I'm kind of the black sheep of the crew, in that this is actually my first time being in Trank, and I guess my competitive scrimming experience has kind of ramped up very quickly. I was very, very casual at Overwatch, less than 6 months ago, and then decided that I wanted to see how much I could push myself in a team. So joined GGNA, met Boot there, went to OCCS, and now we're here in Trank. And, played different roles, flexed a whole lot in that experience, and it's been a good time. And I'm hoping that things go well here in Trank, considering this will be like my first big tournament experience, I guess, with the team.
One thing that you'll notice with Curb about Trank, and what I noticed last season at least, is that they don't put up with ass hattery here. Like, we use good manners. We're here to play and have a good time, but we're also like, the entire community is very like uh, non-toxic. So like, you'll see. I'm not sure if you've seen, but there's already somebody who got penalized in the during the preseason for teabagging. And you can see that directly over the server. They put them on blast. um, and I just like how they operate. Tranquility as a whole. I think that they try to run a smooth operating machine, and for all intents and purposes, it's the best server that I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to what goes on here. It's nice to have a community of sorts that seems to be focused on improving, both as teams and as individual players and everything. So I think, even though some of the games may be rough based on our time playing together and skill level and everything, I think it'll be a really good experience for us going forward.
Yeah, on the On the topic of what sets Trank apart and some of the ups of the community, what got you hooked on or more interested in playing in the Tranquility League tournament community? You know, a bunch of terms for the same thing, rather than spending your time going over back to whether it be GGNA or a lot of the teams that are participating in Open Division right now. But like, what sets this apart as why you're investing time in it now?
Okay, I got this easy. So the first podcast I listened to was like the second week of um of season 3, right? And they were talking about how the Jetpack Cats have so much potential because Melts this, oh that, and the DPS are so great. And then they basically came out and said, I think it was Specs. They were like, this team could be so good, but their tanks suck, right? And so he just basically was like, Blue and Boot suck.
Yeah,
And
dude, that was like what? Are you kidding me? And then we were just like
uh,
we put our nose to the grind.
I mean, they weren't wrong. We did suck compared to our DPS players at the time. But then, me and Boot started playing together a lot. And then, like, over the weeks, just hearing the podcast, they're talking about, oh, how the tank line is actually coming together. Like, they paid attention to the games. I don't know if they were just making it up or what, or somebody actually came in and they were watching our games. I think they did on our feature matches. And they were
It's
talking about how much.
NPC. It
Yeah,
NPC.
NPC. Yep.
NPC always had love for me and you after like
Yep.
our last good weeks there when we were hitting when it was pulled pork meta, man. We were just smashing halt hooks left and right, man. It was
So
great.
the fact that they were like actually that there was people actually paying attention to the hard work that we put in, that's what brought me back to Tranquility. So yeah.
Yeah, they're always straight up honest too. Like if like they'll call your shit out. If you suck, and they'll tell you straight up and put you on blast on the entire stream to know. And then if you got a big head, they'll humble you quick. And they're not afraid to. But I like how you just remember that it's all in love, and it's all about. It is a competitive, server, and but at the end of the day, we're all friends and we all get along. So that's what matters.
Yeah.
Right, yeah, and I think a lot of other players appreciate that level of honesty, and more so than people that just kind of inflate your egos enough so that everybody kind of creates that toxic environment where everybody's the best and there's no one at fault. So when you do something wrong, you're like, well, there must have been something that I didn't do. So I like that about the example that you said. Um,
Yeah.
so for your team on a more intimate level, what is the one tricks? What are they about? What is their style? What is their goal here in any given game? Not necessarily for your plans in the community, but more so of like how do you plan to showcase your personality as players and as a team out in the game?
Okay, so I mean, for that, it's gonna be a little bit different now. In Ox, we were in the Plat division and we were dominating, really, like we were dominating pretty hard, and we were known, like our team was known for our aggression. Now, I don't know if we're gonna be able to keep that. I'd say that's like the personality of our team. Like we were spawn camping teams, we were being super aggressive, burning time off the clock by spawn camping, like holding up really far forward. I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. I mean, I think that's like what our team was mainly known for. So, like I said, moving forward, I don't know if the teams are going to be able to punish us harder, and maybe we might not be known as the super aggressive team. But really, like what we're trying to do, we're just trying to get better, dude. Like I've seen so many players in Tranquility that started like, maybe mid gold or high plat. Like for example, Melts, he started at like 2600, and when I first started playing with him, I remember thinking he wasn't that good. And then now look at him, he's like 3800. He might, play in trans tier. He might yeah, so like so many people have gotten better by sticking in the tournament. What I'm really looking forward to doing here is just, getting those scrims in, playing with better players, getting dominated, learning from it, and then, climbing. So
Yeah, it's all about for us. It's all about for the love of the game. Um, we might have our rough spots, but we always come back to it. And like Blue said, we were definitely known for being an aggressive team over in OCCS, but I think that the higher we get here, the more punished we are for our little tiny mistakes. So we gotta
Yeah,
we gotta nip those things in the bud to be able to compete here.
that might have to change in order for us to actually get some W's on the
Yeah,
board.
yeah.
So
It'll be cool, man. It's good to sweat, you know,
yeah.
and it's good to sweat without having to actually lose your SR. You know, that's how you learn.
I
So,
mean that's another thing. Like I no longer really enjoy competitive. Like I
oh,
don't
it's a
have fun,
nightmare.
but like in a tournament setting, I really do enjoy it. I enjoy scrims a lot. Like I look forward to our scrim nights every week. So yeah.
It's just nothing more fulfilling for to have a six random people from across the fucking the globe. Essentially, it could be potentially. I mean, we got tribal. He's over in the UK, so you come together with these people and you try to like coordinate to win. And yeah, been addicted to this game since freaking beta.
Yeah, I think I would echo a lot of those sentiments. Like, what drew me to joining teams and tournaments and things like that in the first place was definitely the idea of seeing where I could go as a player if I had, other people that I could trust in certain roles. So, when you go into competitive, it could be a complete, throw of the dice, whether you get tanks who know what they're doing, whether you get tanks who play, main tank, or if you're stuck with two off tanks or whatever. And I found that was, while part of the general competitive experience, also limiting in a sense that I didn't know, just how good could I perform under the like optimal conditions, I guess. So that was why I wanted to join a team. And so I think that, you know, scrimming and playing against teams that are better than us and seeing where our mistakes are and getting to try and fix those is really what's going to help us climb as players, both in the tournament and outside of it. And that's definitely what I'm looking forward to, because I want to see games where I say, you know what, it doesn't matter what happened at the end of that game. I think I put in a real good game there, and I'm proud of, the way that I played. And that's what excites me most about playing in a competitive tournament like this.
It's a good mindset to definitely have for this. I think it's really positive, and I hope a lot of other players emulate. So thank you for sharing that. Is there anything that your team does together aside from Overwatch? Like any like fun things, like another game or like a movie night or something like that? I've heard other teams they try to have like synergy days or like bonding days where it's a little bit further removed from the competitive aspect and more towards like the personal. So I don't know if and I know not everybody does this, but I wanted to maybe get an inside look if there is something along those lines. And it could be within Overwatch too. You just have like a quick play day or an off roll day or something goofy.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I really do with other people on the team would be with Zero or Darklink and Boot. I play a lot of WoW, a decent amount of WoW, but sometimes we'll just try random games. Like I know for a little bit we were playing
Yeah,
Fortnite.
we were on that
Yeah,
Fortnite kick for a minute.
yeah, but we don't really have like set days like to watch movies or anything like that. So,
I
but we
really enjoyed. Sorry, I was just gonna say I really enjoyed. Like this last weekend, we were all chatting in team chat about what was happening in Owl. I mean, that's still related to Overwatch and
Right.
competitive, but it was cool to hear people's takes on like what was happening and things that we were impressed by, things that we wished we could do. After the crazy performance of Architect on Anna in the Shock
yeah.
game, Blue messaged me in the
Dude,
team chat and was like,
dude.
"Hey, can you get 45 sleeps next time we scrim?" And of course, I said no, but like that was fun. It was cool to do that, even if we weren't necessarily hanging out together to do it.
And that's something else that's really exciting about how the balance of the game is actually like Blizzard's actually trying.
Amongst their other multiple failures in the
I think your mic is battery's running out.
Yeah,
If you're
you're
connected to your
real
Really
camera.
bad.
fast updates, yeah. Oh, I'm cutting out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were for a second.
Oh, sorry. What was cool in OWL was watching all of the different DPS combinations and tank combinations, and heal combinations. These guys are pulling out all the stops and like you're seeing those hero plays once again, and like really skilled players can shine and not have to be forced to play. Here's like one of the best DPS in the world playing Brigitte. It's like,
Yeah.
Goats was one hell of a ride. Or we'll always remember that. But
I personally loved goats, so as a tank player, but yeah.
I hated it. It was boring to me. See, for me, like I like the aspect of the rock paper scissors kind of game. Like this counters this counters this counters this, and let's try to be. You know what I mean? Like amongst you're telling me so amongst the 30 characters that we have available, just about like these six are the only ones that are being played amongst all of the pro players because of the way Blizzard balanced their game. Like,
I mean, no,
uh,
don't get me wrong. I hated watching goats, but I loved playing it. As a Reinhardt player, dude, it was great.
but it
So
was like it came down to me just like putting on Al in the background and pushing mute on and like oh, they're running goats v goats. Okay, minimize, and then I get the tokens. Like I'll see the scores later. But yeah, I think it's exciting the way they get the game's like actually progressing at the moment, and how they're just like dropping nerfs and buffs left and right on this and that, and they're trying to deal with the power creep like for instance Reaper, like he got like way freaking buffed during goats to try to counter it, and then when they went to 222, all those like balance changes stayed in effect.
yeah,
That power creep happened, real quick.
I think we're getting a little off topic, but yeah, things we do together is we play a little bit of WoW, a little bit of Fortnite, and
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes we just also recluse into our own little holes and go
yeah,
offline and play like whatever. Like I play some Forza here and there, Destiny 2, Modern Warfare, a little bit of Apex, like Brawlhalla, even just like dumb stuff. But I don't know. We don't have like chill nights together and stuff like that where we all sit and powwow and watch a movie in the stream together. Nothing.
yeah, we
I
scrim.
know a lot. I know a lot of kids.
If we have time to all be together, we'll scrim.
But
That's the way I see
but
it.
here's the thing: we got a lot of like guys on the team that are also like really really busy outside of like these 3 days that I dedicate towards the one tricks are my like that's my limit. Not necessarily my limit, but like it's as much as I can physically probably take of racking my brain in front of my screen because I got a kid, he's 11, he's got autism. Yeah, I've been doing it by myself for like 9 years, and I work in construction 40 to 50 hours a week, and I do all kinds of various labor-intensive projects. And to be honest with you, I'm tired. I'm tired. um, and I can't speak for everybody else on the team, but I know everybody else has got big stuff that they handle. I mean, Darklink, he's got his own little business, and Blue's got real estate that he deals with, and it's adulting is hard.
Yeah, no, definitely. Everyone has their situations, right? So the time you put in is good enough, and I think everybody can just be happy with what they put in. I mean, I know from experience from playing last season, I definitely went a bit above and beyond, past my limit, and just burnt out. And then now I'm gradually easing myself back in through other projects like doing this and helping with the casting team and finding projects that aren't just pointing and clicking at heads anymore, or for Reinhardt, just pointing and clicking and hoping someone walks into it. Um, so yeah, no, I understand exactly. Well, maybe not exactly because everybody's unique, but I understand a bit where you're coming from, and I appreciate everybody using their time to dedicate it to this, because I mean I love watching everybody. Doesn't matter which tier. It could be OWL, it could be Harmony tier, it could be GGN, it could be whatever. I just like that there's so many people that are kind of just getting lost in this game the same way I am, and I think other players can relate to that too, and notice the effort that everybody puts in. I know that was
Absolutely.
something. Yeah, I mean I think last season specifically is like the season that I entered, and I watched how much the Harmony tier guys grew over the span of like the 15 weeks, and I was shocked. I thought it was really cool that a lot of them actually went in and busted their butts, went on the grind and got good, just
Yeah.
for
A lot
I
of
think
great players came up from Harmony, man.
exactly. I think that's they prove themselves in that tier to really put on a show for us here coming season 4. I think another cool thing that they brought with them is that drive to get better. And a lot of them after talking with them wasn't even to get better necessarily for themselves. Were like I just want to perform better so that at the end of the day I sleep a little better. It's more of like my team needs me, or in a situation like you mentioned earlier, like the cast kind of railed me for this, and I don't want to be known as that guy that's holding back my team or performing this poorly. It's all due to like some sort of external influence, and I think that's really unique and special. That's you can bring back from this community. Um, but more on something you guys mentioned earlier on your tangent, which was or you just touched on briefly, was your preseason game against Maelstrom. I know it wasn't on the stream, so not everybody quite knows what happened aside from the score, which I don't think is very telling. So it would be really cool if you guys can go in depth on some of the takeaways from that game. We know that you lost it, so that it might be like an iffy subject, but still, we definitely, and I especially want to hear how your first real game as the One Tricks for the community and how it went. What are the takeaways? Maybe if Maelstrom's the team to beat for you now, or anything else you're willing to tell me.
All right, so I think the Maelstrom game for us was completely winnable. I think that like we didn't get dominated or anything. I know the score shows 3-0-1. You know, we tied one game, but there were close games, and for a while now, our weakness has really been just adapting to metas because we haven't really had a coach for long. I think the only coach we had for a decent amount of time that was actually pretty good was Kingdom. But besides that, we just kind of teach ourselves through trial and error. And
P.S. Looking for a coach.
yeah, and so Maelstrom came in and they were already playing the Ryan Diva, which honestly we had no practice time on, and they were like just the compositions they were bringing in were a lot better than ours. We were still running a lot of Orisa Sig, and because we were getting dominated so hard, we started to flex over to things that we had in practice, right? And then after doing that, we were starting to bring fights back and starting to bring maps back, right? So we were one step behind pretty much every single map because we hadn't practiced Ryan Diva, we hadn't practiced anything meta. So honestly, if we were to take a video of what happened, we were pretty much running our own comps. Then they were coming in, starting to win, and then we were practically copying what they were running to fight back. And so, I mean, considering all of that, we did pretty good. Also, we had curve DC 3 times, which has never happened before. I mean, I'm not saying that's the reason we lost, but I'm saying it's something that's completely never happened before.
But
like
when you lose alt charge on a winning
Yeah.
fight, where it's just like, darn, man, like that's
Yeah.
it's
I don't know what was up with
hard
my
pill to
computer
swallow.
that day. There was some cursed stuff going.
Yeah, it was scuffed as hell in a couple different ways, but I think we got some. I immediately went through and started picking apart everything we fucked up. So and honestly, like it's just these little tiny things that we just need to tighten up on, and I think that we're not gonna make playoffs, right? We're not a playoffs team, but I think there's gonna be some. I think there's gonna be some wins in there, and I think that we're gonna, still, give it our all, regardless.
What I liked about Maelstrom is that they were like really well put together. They always knew. It seemed like they always knew what they were running out, and their coordination was actually pretty great. So, I mean, I don't think we're too far behind from them. In fact, I say if we were a little better prepared, a little bit less DCs, that could have easily gone another way. So, yeah, I like right now, we're definitely one of the bottom. Absolutely, like there's no denying that. But I also think that with some practice, I wouldn't count us out just yet. We'll get some wins in there.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. Oh, Curb, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, thinking back on it, I remember map 1 Oasis was incredibly, incredibly close. Like, I'm pretty sure it was like 99-99 all 3 rounds. Like, that felt like a coin flip game almost. And so I really do feel like the games were pretty close. I feel I don't exactly remember what happened on map 2. I think we got stuff map 2, but I remember at one point it was on Kings Row map 3, which we ended up tying. When we were down 2-0, I remember saying, hey, are we treating this like a scrim where we're just going to experiment with something? And then I remember we pulled out like Lucio Brig on our attack because Maelstrom had run Lucio Brig on their attack against us, and we ended up making it work. Like we took them to overtime and then ended up drawing on like we've
We
never
had like
scrimmed Lucio Brig
yeah.
before. So it was, at some point we were just saying, we're going to experiment with stuff here in this game, and we're going to see what works for us, what we can make work, and what we know we can maybe look into doing more with our next couple of scrims.
Definitely, yeah. I think that coming from a player's perspective, pretty much all of the strats that my team has really picked up, besides like a few, like very very few, has come from scrims and really intense comp games and any sort of really high stakes format where you just see this other team come out on these strategies, and one of two things happen. One, you learn to copy it and make it your own, and it's not exactly the same in how you run it. You add your own personality to it, but the heroes behind it and the the uh, the technique is still there. But then, or you get put into these situations where like, there's no way we could play that. That's not within our comfort level, so we're not gonna try it. And then, you make these wacky comps that on the fly that are to handle it, and then they work out or they don't, and then you modify them later to suit whatever needs need to be, whatever needs weren't there or need to be pushed further. So stuff like that. Um, but more on your schedule for stage one, because you're mentioning that you believe that you're not potentially a playoff team. And I think that's super hard to tell at this point because we've only seen a few matches. We've really only seen one, but um, there's a couple others that we know the results of. I know I streamed the Prodigious game. I had a couple friends help me. I produced and they casted, so that's a game that everybody can go look back on and take away how well they did and how well the Heckin' Habaneros did, who were the opponents, which are a really good team, and I think a definitely not the front runner, but a top tier team. Um, and then you guys have Eclipse, who has been around for a while. Really good squad, pretty much completely different from last season, but still coached by a lot of really good people. Overtime, who we've scrimmed a bunch of times, super nice people. Tailwind, who's a new team, we've scrimmed them as well. Super nice, high talent pool. Alta 4, another returning team that has a lot of history in the community, probably looking to boost their ratings from last season. And then Maelstrom as your week 5, so a little bit of a blast from the past for you. And do you think by that point, this is more than 5 weeks from now? It's 5 weeks from the 26th, so really 7 weeks. Do you think you'll have a little bit more in the back pocket ready to take on Maelstrom? Because you mentioned earlier that on the right day, you think maybe if you were prepared, you could take him down. So we'll have to see if that idea bears fruit, because we'll get exactly that situation that you're hoping for. So let's hear what potentially you think of these 5 matches
Listen,
coming up.
it's also a featured match, but yes, I think I say we'll get that W. I think we will. At least we're gonna go for it.
I agree. I agree. I think we
But
should have it.
as you were talking about the top teams and stuff like that, like it's hard to tell. The reason we're saying that is because like if you look at the rosters of all the other teams, we don't have a single Masters player, not one. Most of our players are 31. We have one that's hit 32, and then we have a few that haven't even hit 3K. And we came in together as Discord because we weren't about to leave any of our players behind, right? Like, yeah, 3 of us could have moved over to Discord, and then the other in Harmony, but we rather get rather get wrecked together than have to split up the team. So, but looking at some of the best teams, like that first, or who I think are the better teams, that Tailwind against Caliber game, I just gotta say, like, I think his name was Normic played insane. Like his Reinhardt was so clean. It was so good. I was really impressed. Like from a tank perspective, he turned so many fights around that should have been lost. So that's why we think we're not like one of the strongest teams. But I mean, I think playoffs is still doable. Uh, Mainly because I think there's a very large gap between who are the top teams and then like the middle of the pack. Like we're definitely not a top team at the moment, but I think we could potentially get better and make it to playoffs. Whether I think we're gonna win, now that's a different story. But that doesn't matter because hey, season 5 will come around eventually. We'll keep improving, and then maybe we'll win that one.
Yeah, just speaking specifically about like the Maelstrom rematch, I remember a couple days before our preseason game last week, Blue was typing in our team chat and just said, "Oh, our featured match for Trank is going to be versus Maelstrom as well." And I remember thinking to myself, "Man, whoever loses this preseason game is really going to want that win in the featured match." And considering we ended up losing, I definitely think that we'll be hungry for it when it comes around to our rematch. And I do think it was a very close game. I think Maelstrom played really well. I also think that we have the potential to play as well as them, and it'll be very interesting 7 weeks from now to see exactly where we're sitting in comparison to them. See how many games both teams have won under their belt, and I really think that we're going to look at scrimming up to that point as we need to take this win for sure on the featured match.
Yeah, I think there was an issue right last season that a lot of people and a lot of teams had, where there was a huge gap, like you mentioned earlier, between the top level team, specifically the top team,
Yeah,
and the teams below. Um, Kind of into three sections. There was like the kings of the tier, and then there was
the
the
mid.
the gestures below them, and then the peasants even further. And it was interesting.
There's power rankings every week where something to watch on the podcast.
Oh yeah, the power rankings were really fun. I loved that everybody took stock and to say who was better, who was worse for both tiers, and it was pretty much changing aside from like the top three in Harmony and the top one or two in Discord, and it was really fun to watch that level of play. But I think that this season, with having a third tier that's above, has really narrowed the competition to really potentially only two tiers rather than like three. I think there's like the front runners versus the people that have the potential to catch up. I don't think anybody's out of the race. I think it's way too early to say
Right,
to a team or to specifically like players like you're done. Like there's no way, kid, give it up, because that's disingenuous to the effort that we're all putting forth to get good.
right.
And I'm excited to see a team that, like yourself, I will root for you over most, just because from what we did in season 3 was very similar. We had three players that were technically Harmony tier SR, but and then we had 4 or 5 of us that were like Masters and Diamond and stuff like that, and then eventually got into Grandmasters and stuff that were just like, well, would we rather split up the team, invite new people in, and do potentially better, or do we want to pull up these plat players from their like boots and make them hang with the big kids and still be on a team with us, because at the end of the day we were all friends but first, competitors
Right.
second. So we're like, this is really fun, and I like that you guys have a similar mentality of like, what's the point of winning if it's not with these people, and I like that a lot. um so very, very cool, and I'll wish you luck for uh your first stage results. I think everybody's schedule looks pretty good. I think there's a lot of teams from, I mean, just from our scrim experience, because we've scrimmed against you guys and a bunch of other teams. I think the teams that you have in your schedule are all, you're all very within the same level. I don't think anybody stands out too much from each other. So I doable, very doable, and I wish you luck for sure. But more
Thank
on
you.
a fun note would be, if not Overwatch, right? That's wasn't your time sink. What competitive game would you be putting most of your time into?
Uh, that's easy for me, it's actually WoW. The only reason I quit WoW is because I got married, I have a house, I have stuff I need to do, and WoW's too time consuming. But I'm actually good at that game, and I'm pretty awful at Overwatch. So, like, if I had the time, I would play WoW full time. So, yeah. This-
I'm gonna say it's a toss up between Mortal Kombat 11 and Forza 4. I just started playing Forza with the um recently with the $1 Game Pass, and they have a competitive mode, and man, those races are hard. But I also just upgraded my GPU, so like the frames are just insane right now. So like, I don't know. But Mortal Kombat 11, man, I I absolutely love playing that game on my downtime, and playing on online really shows how much of a button smasher that you can't be. You have to know your shit.
For me, I don't know. My answer's kind of difficult because I also used to be just an absolute WoW fanatic. Blue's like an arena guy. He loves
So,
PvP, but I was like a hardcore Mythic Raider for a long time, and so I feel like I can't go back to WoW because it was too much of a time sink for me, and I just don't have the time for it. So I think even though my answer of what my best like competitive experience would be probably WoW, it genuinely, if I had to pick another game, I don't know what it would be. Like I don't have a whole lot of FPS experience. I like racing games. Maybe I'd get into Forza or something with Boot. Maybe try Rocket League or something like that. But I actually really enjoy the competitive aspect of Overwatch. So I don't know if there's a different game that I would actually want to sink my competitive experience into at the moment.
yeah, this is actually my first shooter too. So that's probably the main reason why I suck so much at this game. It's the first time I had to aim. So,
Hey, no aim, no brain, dude.
yep.
Play right, play Reinhardt.
That's why I went Winston at first, dude. No.
That's a
Yeah.
vibe. I came from console, and then I saw all these kids that were flicking to heads, and I was like, man, I need a shield. So I just I just picked up the mantle,
Yeah.
picked up the hammer, and never put it down. But yeah,
I got a beta one on a beta day one account on Xbox. I haven't touched it in years, but I made the transition as well about 2 years ago over to PC, and I sucked on PC so bad. Like 1600 is my first rating, and wow, what an eye opener.
Yeah, I also started at 1600, and after like 80 hours in season one, well, it wasn't season one, it was like season two when I was like 45 or something like that. I don't know what that translates over to, but when
Oh,
Plat
no,
came
no,
out,
it was
when
29. You got me
yeah,
beat.
when Silver came out, I played Silver, and after like 80 hours, I hit Gold, and yeah, I was always like slow grinding. I pretty much got to put in like 200, 300 hours in each tier, and then I'll move up. So
One thing I realized about this game is you can literally one trick anything out of lower ranks if you're good enough. Like getting into gold was like really really easy after about less than 24 hours. I mean, it didn't take long for me to start fucking just landing shatter after shatter after shatter after shatter.
now, see, you're better than me. It took me like 80, and I wasn't a tank. I didn't go tank till like Plat till I was like 2500. I had to like Reaper my way to 2500, and then I went tank. And yeah, that's yep.
So funny.
nice. I guess more towards something you mentioned earlier, which was your game against Maelstrom and the practicing of meta comps. But let's not only mention meta comps, but how do you feel about this current meta? I know a lot of people have a lot of harsh opinions or very polarizing opinions about the transition away from double shield onto back towards maybe like Reinhardt or a more reliance on May, Lucio coming back, stuff like that. Whatever your perceived idea of the meta is, how does your team disable it or enable it?
Well, I think right now I really don't like the way May plays. I think it's so oppressive to tanks that you have to kind of be forced to play whatever the meta is. I mean, right now I think it's basically Ryan Diva, because Diva can eat the holds. But I think Overwatch in general is moving to a direction where you can where like I think here in the near future we're gonna be able to play just about anything. Like teams are gonna have to play to what their strong suit is. And I think honestly that's really gonna bring out the difference in between like who is like a really good mechanical player and like has good awareness compared to somebody that's just practiced on one certain comp. Like your decision making and all of that's gonna come more into play. Like a good tank and a great tank, it's gonna be like a bigger difference. Like before with double barrier, I feel like if you were playing Ryan Orisa, Orisa Sigma or Ryan Orisa, like you couldn't really tell the difference between a phenomenal tank player and like you're an okay tank player. And I think now we're moving forward to a direction where it's gonna really show who's the top player. Like just speaking about tanks.
Who is Alpha Ryan? Yes.
Yeah,
It's
I
very
think
easy. It's very easy to see who's Alpha Ryan when you have these 6v6 structured matches.
yeah.
Um, there's no doubt about it. I personally I'm with Blue. I freaking hate how oppressive May can be, um, and I can't wait for the day where you don't have to mirror to counter it to be effective, because she's like so lethal. Like she could take out pharmacies. You know what I mean? Like if she's in the right enough position, to do so. Um, and so it's not like you can even like just like, okay, this is the counter of the May. The counter to May is to run May and
Run
yourself
your own May.
and run your own May and kill the May and have your whole team May till she's dead. You know, it's and she's, man, I've just seen her like completely like turn around lost fights just with a single ultimate. It's absolutely crazy what she can do right now in the right hands. But other than that, I like like I said earlier in the interview, I like the rock paper scissors that we're seeing at the higher tiers, where you can pretty much just pick whatever works inside of Ryan Diva, Ryan Arissa, and May. Everything else can pretty much go with it. Brig can heal she has a really long sight line on her Inspire, so she can top off DPS players and enable them from from the safety of. I don't even know what the range on it is. What do you think it is, Curb? What's the range on her Inspire?
On Inspire, oh god, I mean I could look it up real quick.
Is it as much as a Discord orb? Because like
Inspire, no. Repair pack, yes.
Oh
Let me
yeah,
see.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Inspire is only 20 meters. Repair pack is 30. Yeah, so pack is definitely like equivalent to Discord orb. I know that's why a lot of people on the forums have been talking about why pack is getting nerfed in this upcoming PTR patch, just because basically you can pre-pack a flanking DPS and then they go in and they win the fight by killing someone because they have 275 HP, 75 of which is armor. So I understand why, especially with the armor changes, Brig is getting a little bit of a tuning down. But in reference to like the actual meta, I mean, this is probably not a hot take at all, but I genuinely think Ice Wall is the best ability in the entire game, pretty much. So it's interesting, being that May is very much like Widowmaker, where you had to like you typically want to contest a Widowmaker with your own Widow or some sort of sniper, whereas May you really have to contest her with your own May because you have to stop the enemy from getting all that value from Ice Wall and blocking off tanks and everything like that. I will say that I'd much rather play May with Ryan Diva, which currently is what's happening, than May with Double Shield, which is what was happening before now. So I do think that the meta is shifting in a good way. Things need to be tuned a little bit more, but I'm actually pretty happy with this meta as a whole. And I know that we definitely like playing Lucio on our team, not only because, Tribal, our Lucio player, is in England, and so it's harder for him to play some of the more aim intensive heroes like on the ping that he has. So Lucio's a really good fit for him, and he's a great Lucio. Like always has our tanks backs in terms of how aggressive we need to be, and that was one of the main reasons that we reviewed as such an aggressive team in OCCS. So I think the fact that Lucio has come back has definitely helped us, because we were still playing like Bap Lucio instead of Bap Zen and stuff like that.
Right. Also, on the Mei thing, I feel like a good Mei right now currently can provide better space and hold space better than the tank line itself. Like if you have a really well played Mei who can split off an enemy team, I just think it's too oppressive. But yeah, I think we're moving towards a better meta, I guess, or a better variety. So
Gotcha. That's super interesting. I'm glad that you shared that Bap Lucio story, and and your feelings about May. And I think a lot of people are agreeing with you in those emotions. I don't know too many people that genuinely enjoy May. I know specifically a few, but more than like four in North America. I don't know. Like that it might be a little too much also.
I mean, I like playing Mei because as a tank and support player, it's sometimes nice to just queue for DPS and terrorize the entire enemy team by playing Mei. But you know, in terms of like a healthy scrim environment, I think Mei is probably too oppressive. Yeah.
Definitely. Um, so more on we're getting down to the wire here. We have about 9 minutes that we usually allot in the total hour of the interview. So we'll end on some more gimmicky and fun questions of since like they've joined the team. So this can include you or anybody who's currently on the roster. Who do you think has improved the most? It could be strictly SR, it could be mentality, it could be really any qualifier as long as you tell me what it is. And you all can have individual opinions about this. It doesn't have to be a consensus.
okay. Uh, Personally, the most improved I think would be Boot. I think Boot. I remember when we first recruited him into Jetpack Cats. Like there was a lot of faults with his Reinhardt, and slowly but surely, and it's taken time. He has a pretty decent Reinhardt. His Orisa is really good. His ball is pretty decent. As a tank duo, like I think he's improved a ton. Like a very dependable main tank, in my opinion.
Oh, thanks, buddy. I was gonna say the same about you. Because I think that we have come a long way as a tank duo, and I think I only have that opinion because I have the most time with you and Darklink than anybody else on the team. So, yeah, that's what I would say. I'd say Blue came a long way.
That's really funny actually, because originally my first thought was probably one of you two, just because playing with you guys over the last, you know, like 4 or 5 months or whatever, it's been really interesting to see you guys evolve to have the same sort of synergy on like different tank comps as you did on certain ones. Like, you know, when you guys played Orisa Hog, uh, it was clear that it was on point with the halt hooks, and then it was really interesting to see as Blue like moved to Sigma, you guys hitting those halt rocks and stuff like that. So I feel like you guys as a tank duo have definitely improved a lot. But I think the person that I want to say has improved the most, and he'll probably take this as an insult, but it's going to be Darklink, because you know, when I joined the team, I didn't view him as a DPS main, a DPS player. He was a support player. And I think that he's shown that he's really, really strong on a couple of DPS heroes that have really carried us at some points in scrims. I think that he's shown that he's become a really, really good flex player, and I'm quite impressed by that.
You
Uh,
know, that's something I want to kind of add on too.
let me talk about it. Let me do it.
Go ahead, go
Yes,
ahead.
he's my girlfriend.
Yeah, I
so
know he
gotta
is your
do something
girlfriend.
about it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so last season, I mean, Tranquility has a lot of good things, right? They talk about who the best players are, and they'll give awards and stuff like that. And the award that they're severely missing is who the best flex player is. So Darklink played for Jetpack Cats last year, right? And I don't think anyone in Tranquility knows who Darklink is, but yet they know a lot of other Jetpack Cat players, right? this dude would flex from from main tank to off tank to support to DPS every game. Like every game, he was playing a different role, and he was playing it really well. In my opinion, he's probably the best tank on our team, and he's not playing tank. He has a great
You're not wrong.
yeah, he has a great flex DPS, and he's a great support. Like he's good at so many different roles, and he never gets any recognition because of the fact that he's good at so many roles that teams constantly switch him from role to role.
So
And
he never got to really shine and show his
Yeah.
his skill because he was constantly swapping, and it's a shame because dude, seriously, if you guys are listening, Yeti, let's get it. Let's get hardest flex in the server.
yeah, that needs
for
to be an award. That
And
needs to
Dark
be-
Lake is owed for many seasons.
No, I definitely agree that the power of flex has been overlooked. I think that the community, one of its shortcomings is that it doesn't really incentivize players to flex. Really, it really they really want to lock you in to the role that they see you most often and keep you there. They want you to be the off tank, to be the main tank, to be the support, or whatever. I guess less and less between like main and off tank and more just tank, but definitely it's harder, right? I guess especially if you take a week, you're like, I'm gonna practice DPS this week, even though I'm a support player, and that takes away from potential scrim experience that you have on your main role, and that could lead to some unnecessary like losses, maybe even at like its most extreme. So for the players that can go out and make it happen and still produce results week to week, I think it's even more notable than those that are continually on the same role producing those results. I know last season that there was a couple players in the Discord tier that were doing it, but it was still very few. I coach a team right now that's in the Harmony tier modifier where we have 3 players that just like I was like, what role do you guys want to play? They're like, no, we want to play what we're good at, right? We want to play the heroes and the roles that we're good at on the maps that we want, not play the way that Owl incentivizes us or higher level play incentivizes us. If I feel like playing Bastion and I'm a tank and then my DPS player wants to play Roadhog, then we're gonna make it. We're gonna do that. And I incentivize any players to go and shoot that gap because I think that's more fun, right? You can get a lot of burnout if you play a certain play that way of just I'm only gonna play Sigma in this double shield meta. Or I'm only gonna play Mei in this freeze meta and stuff like that. So I like players to take a cue from Dark Link and the others like him, and give everything a shot.
Yeah, I mean I think it's difficult because he's complained to me in private before because like I'm coming in to a tournament, I'm trying to get better at tank. So when you have a team that's constantly asking you to flex between all 3 roles, you're basically detracting from getting better at a certain role and putting the team first. That's why when he came into this team to play with us, I was like, dude, you're gonna be our DPS. I know that's what you primarily like playing. I'm not gonna make you switch around unless unless you want to and you agree to it. Then that's something different. But yeah, I think definitely flex players, not like flex support or flex DPS, but like hard flex players like that who are willing to put their team first. They should be they deserve an award too. That's all I'm saying.
For sure. Awesome. So we're in the actual last minute, the dying embers of the interview. Is there any parting words you want to say as individuals or as a team?
Um, I guess right now we're not the best, but don't count us out. We're definitely gonna get better. We're definitely gonna improve. Catch us in week 5 during our feature match. You'll see just how fast we do improve and how we can adapt. So
Bring your swimwear. It's gonna be a ride. That's all I got to say. It's gonna be fun, man. I look forward to it every week. It's great.
Yeah, I'm just gonna echo basically that same sentiment. I think we're gonna definitely take the time to improve as a team over the course of this tournament lifespan, I should say. And I think it'll be really, really interesting to rematch Maelstrom. That's what I'm personally looking forward to the most from Tranquility. So that'll be really exciting.
Awesome. Well, look out, Maelstrom. It's been awesome having you guys representing the One Tricks and yourselves as individuals. Thanks for coming on, and thanks to everybody who tuned in to the stream and anyone watching in post. This has been the One Tricks interview on the Beat Drop with me, JuCoHi, Blue, Boot, Curb of One Tricks. Go ahead and sign off, everybody.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Roger that. Thank you.
Thank you very much.